edition of Candid Campbell. It's the first of the semester, and not only do we have our Dean of Students present with us, we also have the Director of Security, Vicki Weaver. Today we're going to speak about campus issues, from blue lights to the security staff, as well as every other issue in security that may be important to students right now on campus. So I want to thank you both for coming on the show.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
And in light of this talk that's been going on right now about the welcome kiosks on campus right now, could maybe we speak a little bit about the new developments that have been made in this issue?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I actually attended a Senate meeting a couple of months ago, and the pressing issue at the Senate meeting had to do with the card access to the kiosk, and when was it going to be repaired, up and running, so that the students could use it once again. So we worked hard with facilities and also our card system administrator, Greg Campbell. We found out that there were a couple of problems that prevented it from working the way that it was supposed to. I'm happy to report that as of 2 weeks ago, those repairs have been made. The system is working, and it's working properly. So now we do have the card access system in place. It really has helped with student satisfaction, and believe me, we understand that. You referred to the kiosk as the welcome kiosk, and I'd like to also mention that members of my staff felt that the term kiosk was an old term, and they wanted to let it represent the purpose, why that building is there, and so they termed the building the Welcome Center. So that's what we refer to now, because when visitors are coming to campus at night, that's the first building they come to. That's the Welcome Center.
It's official now.
It's official.
Welcome Center.
Right.
All right, you heard it here first.
Right.
So now, what was the initial issue that started that made this attention begin on the issue?
Well, there were a couple of things. The lines back up when you have a lot of people who are trying to get on campus. Public safety officers are trying to check IDs and yet try to get people through as quickly as possible. For people who have registered their vehicles, they felt that it was inconvenient that they had to stop and show ID cards every time they came through, even though they clearly had the decal visible on the vehicle. And time is very important to everyone, and when you have to wait in a line, your patience can sometimes get a little bit thin, and certainly we understand that. But the good thing is that the repairs were made to card access, and so now we're able to allow students the flexibility to use the card access if they like, to use their ID cards, and to really, for us at the Welcome Center, to make sure that we properly ID visitors coming through and that we register them. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Okay. And that's the real key, is to make sure that we have an identification of who's visiting our campus and where they're going on our campus. When that happens, we are able to have better security, and we're able to help our students in a more effective manner. So
do you think this was the best thing at this time that they could do on this issue for the students?
The swipe card system?
The swipe card system.
I think that is a very good, because now it opens up 2 lines.
Okay.
One for sort of an easy pass express line for students with their
right.
IDs, and the other line that could be used by visitors that are coming through.
Great. And I guess the next big issue right now is the blue lights getting a lot of attention. As far as the blue lights development, I understand there were a few new ones installed recently?
That's correct. We're actually running a pilot program right now to see how effective the 2 new additional blue lights are, and awaiting customer satisfaction response. We've installed blue light phones on the backside of University House facing the lake, and also the Poita building, Poita Residence Hall, facing the parking lot side. And let me just clarify that there were phones there before, but what we've done is we've actually added the blue light indicator so that visitors to the campus, or even our students at night, community members at night, if they need a phone that they need to use right away for emergency or non-emergency, those blue lights will go ahead and just show where those phones are located. And if they're successful and if the students tend to like them, then we'll look at installing more.
The issue is if you're in trouble and you want help, is where's the nearest telephone? If you don't have your cell phone with you, obviously if you have your cell phone, the nearest cell phone is your cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to use that and private programmed to call public safety. If not, we have phones outside every building. And so if we can make them more visible, then people can have easier access to it in emergencies.
So that's where the blue light comes in, making it more visible.
Right.
What are the pros and cons you feel with blue lights in general?
Well, you know, the pros of it of a blue light phone is that you'll see it. If you're available, if you're in trouble, you need help, it makes it convenient and easy to make the phone call. If they have the special access to push the button and get right to without dialing, you don't have to worry what the phone number is. You can just goes directly to public safety. Public safety will know which phone it is, and they can help out, work from there. Negatives: blue light telephones aren't very helpful if you're getting if you have a concern that's not near a blue light phone.
Mm-hmm.
So they're stationary. So that's really a negative part of that. But I think more and more it goes in with a much broader security system that we're looking at. We have our most important feature is our security officers, public safety officers, because they're riding around. We have our student security people that are riding around as eyes and ears.
Mm-hmm.
We have cameras, security cameras that are helping us make things visible, and we have the blue lights. And then we have every student who takes as their responsibility to notify us if they see something suspicious. So when you put all of that together, that really puts a full-blown security measure on our campus. And I think in the total, they're all very good. Individually, they all have their pros and cons.
Right. Now, as far as price goes, do they run pretty expensive? And was it cost-effective to just upgrade the current phones that were there?
It's going to be very cost-effective to upgrade the phones. I think if you're looking at, Vicki, you can help me with this. If we were looking at a standalone phone placed out somewhere, you're talking anywhere between $15,000 and $20,000 per phone to have it solar powered. And we are still looking to put some of those out in parking lots.
Okay.
We want those phones to be wireless, so you don't have to dig up the phone. It'd be more expensive to dig up cables. If we can do most of the campus for that same $20,000, we can retrofit many of the phones that are already in existence. So we can, expand, and we could, for the same amount of money as one phone might cost. So they are cost effective.
Now you mentioned security cameras, and
Right.
maybe, Vicki, you may want to talk a little bit about the system we have on campus about security cameras.
We have a very sophisticated camera system on our campus, and we're very, very fortunate. We started out with a couple of cameras in a parking lot. We had a combination of fixed cameras, and we also had some pan, tilt, and zoom cameras. And from that, from the initial 2 or 3 cameras, we're now up to 32 cameras, and we're looking at adding more cameras to our system. These cameras are phenomenal as far as how close they can zoom in, the clarity, the recording capabilities. We're really ahead of the curve there, and we want our students to know that that we have these cameras. In fact, we just installed 2 cameras at the kiosk. We actually replaced 2 very outdated cameras and put 2 new cameras into our system, and they just do a phenomenal job. We've talked with the students, try to get their feedback on how comfortable you are, where you like to see cameras installed, and the response has been just so positive, so very, very helpful.
The cameras, they also have recording capabilities that are very strong. So if something occurs and the police need to use that as evidence, the police, they're actually able, because of the kind of cameras we have, where the police are able to enter that as evidence in case of a crime. And they've been very helpful in helping us solve vandalisms and crimes and other things on campus. What we basically now have security cameras covering all of the student parking lots. And now we're trying to protect more of the residence halls and some of the other high traffic student areas now.
Now, have these cameras replaced personnel to an extent, or are personnel controlling this whole system from behind the scenes?
Right, that's a good question. No, they have not replaced personnel. It's a supplement. As Dean Campbell told you about earlier, about all the different components that go into a successful security operation. Well, that's what we have here. You can't have a standalone. We have one area doing everything. But when we have our cameras, when we have our blue lights, and we have our staffing, we have our students and community members working together, it's a terrific fit.
Now, in this whole, I want to say, time of terrorism and homeland security, has that area affected campus security at all, as far as domestic and international terrorism and homeland security?
Sure. We, as a university, that you hear about a lot of soft targets, and universities with laboratories are certainly one of those soft targets. I think we're very, very lucky to have highly trained staff on our campus, and Vicki, Director Weaver, has been certified at the highest level in personal security, and we have some other officers you might want to talk about that are actually certified to a level where they're conducting training for outside police agencies.
We're very, very fortunate with the caliber of folks that we have on board. And I have an opportunity to go to a lot of colleges, universities, and I always come back, and I'm just so thankful and so impressed with the caliber of folks that we have. We have many retired or former police officers. In fact, our captain is a retired police officer, so is our fire safety coordinator. Our detective is a retired FBI agent, Ron Schneck, who has been here for 20 years and just is absolutely phenomenal. In addition, we have, as I said, we have other retired police, fire, military personnel, EMTs, people who have been committed to serving their communities and have done a phenomenal job. And the world has changed in the last 20 years, certainly from the time that I started here. And we have to wear so many different hats, and it really is a necessity, but also greatly appreciated when you can have people that have different talent, different skills, different experience, to bring them to the table, to bring them to the team, and to benefit the university. I was saying earlier that we have one of our officers we just sent through a month-long training session. He's now certified as an incident command system instructor and also weapons of mass destruction instructor. He's one of 35 certified across the country. It's just phenomenal what he does. We have certified American Red Cross first aid instructors. So not only do they train our public safety staff, they also train other folks on the campus who want to obtain that additional skill. So just as the students are learning in the classroom, becoming certified, if you will, that's something that our public safety department has to do also, and not only just reach that certification, but also maintain that certification. So it's a lot of training, a lot of education for us as well.
I think you should know also that she's a little modest and not want to say this, but Director Weaver is also the regional director of IACLEA. IACLEA is the international association that oversees campus law enforcement agencies and campus security agencies across, well, not only our country, but other countries. And Director Weaver is the regional director for the Northeast.
Wow.
So
there
I
you
think
go.
that's important.
Congratulations. That's
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
So with all this experience that the staff has, is there government regulations at all that have come up through Homeland Security or anything for this personnel to have to deal with?
Oh my goodness, yes. Certainly many, many regulations, certifications, policies that have really evolved over the years. Whether it's Clery Act, reporting on specific crimes that happen on college campuses, to Homeland Security, becoming certified in different aspects of Homeland Security, working on ways to make sure that security officers who are not police officers are certified and that they go through a recognized training program. I mean, there's a lot of regulations already passed, and there's a lot that will probably be passed in the future.
Now, has this made jobs more difficult, and as you as a director, had to change the way you go about looking for personnel or giving them certain duties or basically running this organization?
And that's a good question. The most important factor to look for when you want to bring somebody on board to work on a college campus is their commitment to community service, a commitment to working with the students and with faculty and staff, Working on a college campus is very unique because we have a strong educational component. We have residents on campus. Our population, for the most part, maintains 18 to 22-year-old population. So yeah, it takes a special kind of folk, to work here. But we also look at other certifications. What talent, what skill, or what ambition can you bring to the table? And then from there, we work with the officers and blend them into our community.
We've been very lucky to have very talented people work for us. People who are recognized leaders in hazardous waste materials, so they can train other officers, other people. And we're as a college campus, we have a lot of training at our fingertips, and I think that's important. I think the other thing is that in looking at our overall security, we have a very strong relationship with the Lawrence Township Police. LPD have been very, very cooperative with us in helping supplement our patrols. The chief of police actually did an internship on our campus, so he's very, you may laugh at that, but the chief of police in Lawrence Township actually has a PhD, a doctorate degree in higher education administration. So he's very attuned to what goes on a college campus, and we're very lucky to have that kind of unique relationship with our township.
Riders everywhere.
That's
That's why
right.
I'm laughing. Riders everywhere.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Now, has there been a government regulation at all? Because when I mentioned that, you guys were like, definitely. That has been the most difficult to deal with, or the most taxing for the personnel as a whole? Through Homeland Security, if it's a regulation or a program or something that you guys have to do now?
I guess the one that's probably the most overarching on college campus has been the Clery Act, which helps us, and it helps you too as a student. I think it's a good act, but it requires us to provide reports on the safety issues on campus, everything from underage drinking to homicides or anything else on any college campus, and so we have to track all that. And we have to make that available on the web or to every student. And our statistics have been very, very good. But I think what we're trying to do is the biggest regulation that really works on is making sure you're informed of the potential risk so that you can participate in your own safety.
Now, with all these new things coming about, the cameras, the blue lights, and everything, how does your end of your job go with the security? Because if you guys have to implement it, and then I guess you have to bring it to the students and help promote it, how does that process come about?
Well, we have a lot of discussion. We have a lot of
Yes,
conversations.
we do. Yes, we
We have an
do.
awful lot of conversations with students. We have a lot of conversations with with parents, and where do we want to go, and what are other campuses doing? What's the standard of care that we should be providing? We want students to know that they're safe. We want students to know that we're not looking at those cameras 24/7, but they're there to help us. They're there to work with them. They have helped us solve some little mysteries on our campus. Helped everything from broken gate arms to actual vandalisms and things that are more serious in nature. It's important. All of this is important. When I was going to college, we didn't think about all the security that was necessary. We just went to college sort of in a blind faith about how things are going. Parents are much more aware of it. Students are much more aware of security, and they ask a lot more questions now. So it really is a partnership with the students, a partnership with the university, and a partnership with the parents to create a really good environment for our students.
And I like that also. We talk about partnerships. Dean Campbell had mentioned about the police, but I also want to remind folks too about the partnerships that we have with our firefighters. You may have seen some of them come to campus doing some training on campus, and also our ambulance squad have done a phenomenal job in working with us. And as far as my staff goes, we actually go over to the Dempster Academy, the Fire Academy, and we do hands-on training, how to use a fire extinguisher. We actually go inside a building and learn how to extinguish and how to respond in the first place. So, we do a lot of hands-on training as well. Why? Because we want to be as prepared as we can be so that when there's an emergency, that we're prepared and we're trained so that we can offer the best and fastest response.
And we've also entered in agreements with the local township school districts, with TCNJ, with the Lawrenceville Prep School. So in case of any kind of emergencies or deaths that requires us to give students shelter, that we have agreements with each of those places where we can shelter students in cases of emergency if needed. Knock on wood, that's not had to happen.
Good.
And we hope it doesn't happen, but it's part of the preparation plan. We prepare by having so much water on campus in case water goes out, backup generators. So it's a long list of things that we do to stay prepared that often are behind the scenes and students never know about, but are important for your safety and your well-being.
Now, how has the public safety area of campus operations changed since you've started? I mean, that's a very, I guess, broad, question, because a lot of things have probably changed, but maybe the biggest thing or overall?
It is. It has changed. It's broadened over the years, where we could focus on making sure that the buildings were closed up at night, that we had sometimes people think back to the old security guard who had the big key ring and would go around and lock up the buildings. It has evolved so much over the years. We're looking at building security, we're looking at fire preparedness, emergency response training, and certification for medical response, and the list just goes on and on and on. And the best thing that we can do is to provide as much training, as much resources as possible, to work with our students, because the students are such an important part of the whole security operation on our campus. And we can't do it alone. No portion of our community can do it alone. We all have to work together. And we're very, very fortunate in that we have that relationship. And when things happen, we respond. If we see suspicious persons, we have students who pick up the phone, give us a call right away. So, to that extent, we're really, really in a terrific place.
People ask, how committed are you to, parents often say, as a dean, how committed are you to campus safety and security? And I tell them I treat the security of our students the way I treat my own family, because I live on campus. So as concerned as I am for my own family, that's the kind of level of concern that we have for all of our students.
And what can a student do if they need to contact security, if they see anything suspicious or any suggestion they have? Then I guess the numbers, because some people don't know them.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, if you see something suspicious, don't go respond yourself. Okay. But get the information, gather the information, give us a call right away. If it's a non-emergency, the extension is 5029. If you're using an off-campus phone, it's 609-896-5029. Our emergency number, we changed it a couple years ago to make it easier for everyone. 7777. That's our emergency number.
Lucky sevens.
There we go. There we go. But certainly, certainly we don't want students or any of our community members put themselves in harm's way. So observe and report. The sooner you report, the sooner we can respond and take care of the situation.
That's not to say that you shouldn't call 911 if you feel like somebody's in a life-threatening situation.
Right.
If you call 911, we like to have a phone call too, because we will escort the police or to the emergency responding to the area. Right. Because sometimes they may not know exactly where this building or that wing is. So we like to know too. You should also know that our dispatch is connected and able to communicate with the emergency response dispatch in the township, so they can contact them very quickly and get the emergency vehicles rolling as well.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show and
thank you very much.
About the
thank you.
Issues.
Thank you,
and
appreciate it.
No problem. And hopefully the campus is more educated now on issues with security and the experienced personnel that we have on campus defending our students.